we're going to talk about these two reels that I just got in over the last week or so. If you guys haven't followed the story, go back and check out every bass and bonsai video ever made. There's it's probably getting close to 1,500 now, over 1,000 or 1,200 videos available for your viewing pleasure, right? Some of them are in their own little list of ones you can watch. I think I've only ever made one short video highlighting some of my rods back in the day. And comment if you'd like to see me make some more in this TikTok world we live in, and YouTube shorts. There's a lot of that going on. I thought about putting some of those out, but anyway, today's video, we're going to compare. These are, if you don't know, I'll just give you the short backstory if you don't know anything about the reels that you're seeing before your eyes right now. These are from Daiwa. These are the newest style ALPHAS variants, and you have a BFS one in the Gecko Pigeon, or I call it affectionately Geico Pigeon, just so I could remember the name when it first came out. Queen of the Night is what it translates to, I believe. But it is a true BFS. It was kind of designed for saltwater, but it works for any ultralight type baits, ultralight fishing. With the bait caster, this reel can do it. Then you got the SV, right? That's a Salamandura, straight out of China, came from AliExpress. And there's several spools for these ALPHAS variants. The original one was the ALPHAS Air TW, right? That reel came out, and since then you've had the Silver Creek, then this Gecko Pigeon, which are your BFS stuff. Then you've also had the ALPHAS SV, which is a silver reel, if you haven't seen that one. Then you've had the couple Tatula variants, right? You've had this 80, I believe, is a regular deeper spool. Then the 70 is an SV, I think. And then this guy here. Well, the air reels are kind of in a class of their own, and then the Tatulas and the Salamandura, they're in a class of their own, and I'm going to show you the reasons why, what the differences are. Then we're going to also look into customizing these, or any reel really for that matter that handles the Daiwa type drag stars, and then any reel if you want to look for an aftermarket handle that could be coming from Daiwa, Abu Garcia, Luz, and almost all the AliExpress reels. Shimano is one of the only reels that kind of has their own separate drag stars and for sure handles that are kind of totally different. They take a different hole size and nut to tighten them down. So before we dive into customizing, I'm going to explain the differences in the reels, and we're going to also weigh these. I've got, as the Reel Test calls his special spool scale, but we just got a scale that goes in a little more fine-tuned of measuring lighter stuff. And then we've got a regular scale, which is a funky, real cheap one. This is a cheap one from AliExpress. This is one of the first original ones I got, and I have another one somewhere and I can't track it down. I don't know what I did with it. So let's jump in first, and I can't give you a true weight on the reels because I haven't switched the handle back on the other one, but you're not going to be far off, and I'll show you how we'll get to that not being far off. But we're going to get just an overall quick weight on the reels, and then you kind of get an idea of if you customize one. So 154 grams for this one. Now let's just say you wanted to, like, I know I'm missing a whole handle and a knob, but just to get it close, we'll throw on another knob minus bearings. So 100, and it's probably 160 some grams, and you can look on the paperwork. I'm sure it says it right on the edge of the box, but I'm just going to show you the quick thing. The main thing I want to weigh is the spool, but we're going to just get a quick. So 183. This reel is going to be heavier than the Gecko Pigeon, right? So before I tell you the differences, you're going to see one of the differences, and I'm going to take them out right now. And this is live. This is going to be a real quick explanation on the different things I'm talking about, but probably going to be a long video overall because we're going to talk about the differences between these reels. We're going to talk about some customizing things, and want your general thoughts and inputs on what do you guys think about I guess, should manufacturers put more emphasis than they do nowadays into the looks of a reel. What do you guys think? So the first thing you'll notice on these two reels, before I even go to weighing up the spools, and we're not even going to use this thing anyway, we're going to get out our special spool scale. Let's get it open. But one of the first things you'll notice looking at these two, I think it's the same exact frame size. I think they've changed a few things. We've got the side plate comes off a different way. The magnetic control dial is designed a little different, right? And if you look, the cutout, the whole side plate is a little different. So I'm going to try to show you a comparison. Are they the exact same height? We're going to try to look at that too. But first, we're going to weigh the spool. So this one actually does go down. So you loosen that nut up, you actually have to twist down, then the side plate pops off. That is different. Keep that in mind. So then on all of the other ones, because I've had the other ones, I have not had the Tatulas, but I think they're exactly like that one. Based off the videos I've seen and the pictures I've seen, they have that same kind of deal. So on this one, you have to unlock here. That's what's holding this on. Then it comes straight out. So I grab the top and bottom of the spool and just kind of pull towards the side plate, and that pops off. So you've got two different side plates basically, and then this littler spool pops out. And this reel has the spacers in it. If you can see the red pieces on my left here I'm pointing at, and then this one here, that allow you to run that spool. So technically I think you could pop them spacers out and run a 30mm spool. Now you can't run that one because here's the main difference on the concept design of these two different reels. You've got the one without the long shaft and then the long shaft, right? So I can tell you right now, way huge difference in weight. But let's just get a weight on them just so you guys will know. Whoa, look out there, spool. So we've got 8.6 with the bearing. This thing has no bearing. The bearings are all up in here. That shaft supports the thing. And it should still weigh a lot more. So yeah, 12, almost 13 grams, not far from it. So that is the main two differences on these and the function and what they'll do, how they'll do it. Now, I have not tried this yet. You guys are, all this is a first, I just unboxed this yesterday in a live stream, and then right now what I'm doing with it is what I'm doing with it. So just to see, I'm going to see if this side plate, I'm sure it won't, just the way it latches on. So yeah, the side plates won't even come close to fitting. I figured that much, but I wanted to compare them, because if you look, without even measuring with the tape or anything, it is like the exact same size though. So the reels are based off the same size frame platform, but then they're pretty much different after that. So what you have, no wait, you know what? I didn't do that right. This thing may actually go on. Okay, so it does start to go in, but then it won't let it come up because it doesn't have that, it's just not made for that. I was going to try to show you the differences. Maybe it should though. I would think it should slide up. If you look at this, you couldn't interchange the frames no matter what you did, because this one has the extra spot here. You see that? That's so that screw can screw in and hold the side plate on. That one does not have it molded into, it's not into the frame. So frames are different completely. They're also different if you look in here. See how that one's got the protruding aluminum coming out, and that's where your bearing goes in. This one has no bearing there, and it goes straight in. The shaft works on to your main gear or idler gear there, and that's what supports that side of the spool. So frame side plates are totally different. Now my guess, I'm not going to go that far today. If somebody really wanted me to, I guess I could. And you don't want to, on reels like that, you don't want to turn this very much without the spool in there, because your tolerances in here are thrown out of whack. These kind of work in a system together. It's what makes them, they can make them a little cheaper, while they sell them a little cheaper, to where they make a big deal out of it, but Daiwa's done it for years. If you have the short shaft, it's just you have to also have the main pinion gear supported on two bearings, one on each side. So that's why these reels you can just spin, and they're still as free and as good. The tolerances, that gear can't move. On these, that gear can move, so you don't want to go crazy trying to wind. You can basically groove the gears to where you'll get a gear noise. So anyway, we're going to put that one back in. They are totally different as far as they won't interchange, I don't think. Well, wait. I'm not totally done. So let's try this one on this one. No, it won't fit either, because it's got this little thing made on that won't let it fit the way this is made. I haven't given up hope yet on just if they would fit, just so I can show you guys a comparison on size, is all I'm trying to do. They won't fit and work, but I thought I could get one to go on. I figured one would go on and then the other one wouldn't. And if you can see that little piece they've made on to this, that's what is hitting, keeping it from sliding up into there. So that little, and you can see the difference in the two reels. So they are the same frame, designs are different enough that you can't like interchange that kind of stuff. I would think, and the shafts are different, so there's a lot of differences in these two frame size. Even though they're the same frame size, there are differences to keep you from pretty much using any of the same stuff. Now I'm guessing as long as you have the same gear ratio, that you could, no, I think the gears, I think everything wouldn't fit, because I think, don't hold me to it, but I would think that if that's a long shaft, that means that gear won't fit on a short shaft, just in how the bearings go on it. And these are different gear ratios, so then you couldn't swap out gears. And they definitely have a different way that the shaft holds on. This takes a nut, and this is more like a screw with a nut type head on the end. So I think they've almost made it to where, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the internal parts are the same, since it's, you know, but there's a lot of stuff that is not the same. I'm almost positive, though, that I don't see any reason in the world why you couldn't order one of these line guide, the T-wing itself, in a gold one for the Salamandura, and put on this reel. That part, I was eyeballing them earlier when I first took them out of the package to take pics. The worm gear itself, and I've been looking at it, and I've turned them a few different times trying to see. And as far as I could see, a lot of times when it's designed for braid, they'll make it go faster or slower kind of thing. They'll usually make it overlap itself faster so it don't dig in as good, as easy. But I was looking at both these worm gears, and I really couldn't tell that one's way different than the other. I mean, to really tell, you'd have to get them out and put them side by side. I'm just going off the distances between, and you know what, there is a bigger difference. So this worm gear is also to this reel, I believe. I believe it's even different than the ALPHAS that wasn't designed for braid. If you want to know how I can see that, is I'm looking the gap, how thick that is from where the groove is to the other side of the groove, and how this one is. At their widest point, I mean, I can almost physically, if I physically measured that, I'm sure it would be about a 1/2 millimeter or so wider. So what that means is this is going to jump here and back and forth faster than on that side. But that part is just that's the way it is, and there's a pin that goes in there. That pin and all of this, the whole outer housing, that little shaft, I even think is the same. So you could, if you could track down how to order one of those, if you wanted to put a gold one on this reel, you could. I believe the clutch or brake thumb bar is also the same, and I'm sure a lot of the internal stuff that lets the thumb bar work, all that bolts right to the side, bearing sizes, that kind of stuff on up in here are all the same. So let's track down, and the cast control cap, this adjustment, spool tension adjustment, they should interchange. Honestly, the side plate on this side, I can't see any difference. The only difference I've noticed, I mean other than the color, is that they have the same more or less cutouts everywhere. They're both made in Thailand. The only difference I've seen on the reels from the outside as far as mechanically are the fact that this one has, for whatever reason, a straight head screw in here, and this one has a up here and here it has the hex head, which that has a hex head up here but not down here. I don't know why that is, but yeah, the most of the other stuff I think is going to be interchangeable. They even have the little, that's not a access hole, that's just a way for them to shave weight basically. Instead of bringing the aluminum all the way out here, this is a no stress area kind of thing, and Zillion's the same way. They're kind of shaving weight wherever they can. You can't really see that anyway. You definitely can't see it once it's put onto the rod. So let's just look at a few other things. Now you guys watch me kind of, if you haven't seen me unbox this one, go back and look if you want to know what it looks like stock. We've since doctored it up, but we're going to switch that up. We were waiting for this reel to come in to put that drag star on this reel and see what it looked like. And we may go ahead and put that whole handle assembly for those of you guys that are debating about getting into this. So we've weighed the spools, and yeah, BFS capable, not so much, but all around just bass fishing with my hopes is, and actually I looked, I have 20-pound Proberos, 20-pound camo braid is what I got coming for this, and it should, by the looking at the depths of that spool, hold enough 20-pound braid for me to have no problems doing what I want to do. So anyway, let me hold these up for just a second, and anytime, if I haven't given you guys a spiel on how to customize, doesn't really matter what way you put the paper towel down. I've got OCDs kicking in, but get you a paper towel, white cloth on top of preferably something padded, where if something falls, it just don't, it makes a thud and it doesn't go bouncing ding 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 out of your history of your life. You know what I'm talking about? Those little bitty things you never find once you hear that little ding 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 off into the sunset. So anyway, let's tear these apart, mix and match a few parts, talk about other parts you can get, whether it be from AliExpress. And there's really just a few places that I order from. I don't like to go there when I don't have to, but Hedgehog Studios is still around, has a bunch of higher end, good quality aftermarket parts for almost any of your higher up reels. You know, Shimano, Daiwa, several Abu Garcia, that kind of stuff. But then, of course, you guys know, if you know the channel, AliExpress also has a bunch of other parts. And there's probably a few other ones I can't think of. One of the simplest things is join a couple different forums or on Facebook groups that guys that wheel and deal and swap out parts. And if you're looking for stock parts, aftermarket, you know, to customize your reels. That's kind of what we've evolved into now, since we've seen the differences on the reels. There is a difference, and just to recap, over here we have pretty much all of the Air Series reels. They're going to be designed like this. Most all parts should be interchangeable. They're both on the same size frame, but there's a differences. This is your cheaper frame version. This is basically your higher end, is what the differences are. So the ALPHAS Air, the Silver Creek, and the Gekabidgen, right? They're going to be identical. They've got this awesome brake dial, which I raved about it on the ALPHAS Air when I first got that reel. It's the best thing I liked about that reel. The Zillion has a similar one. I like that. Not so fond of this. That's and this is the out of all of them, really, this is my favorite so far, just for the what I'm going to be able to do, what I want to do with it. But as far as for sure, the basically this is a, I guess you could almost call it a Tatula variant now, because the Tatula. So what they've kind of done, if you guys remember right, but basically the Tatula 80 or 70 is on this frame. And Daiwa's kind of done what they did back in the day. They came out the Tatula, and then they saw that people liked the T-wing system. It was a good functioning system. They kind of did, put it out in their cheaper reel, which a lot of times it takes that high-end reel, and for all of the refinement over the years or some new technology that's expensive, trickles its way down. Well, Daiwa kind of went the opposite way. They threw the T-wing system that activates when you do this instead of having the hood that comes up from their T3, which was actually not a real expensive reel. The T3 wasn't. But instead of putting it on their high end and then letting it trickle down, I think they just tried it. They're like, let's just throw it out in this Tatula. They came out the new reel name, Tatula, and then it transferred onto the Zillion, and then pretty much every other reel that Daiwa makes now, they've transferred that out. But for years, up until just, was it 2020 or whenever that new Zillion came out, the Zillion and the Tatula shared the same basic frames like these two reels do. They just had that, long shaft, short shaft, a couple differences because of that, and maybe on the brake dials kind of thing. There's a few differences because of that main reason, but the platform of the frame was pretty much the same size, overall the same. The big Zillion, the big original Tatula Type R, then they came out the CT, and they did the same thing. The Tatula CT and the CTR or whatever, that was the kind of a reddish and red and black reel. The original Type R was just red with some, or black with some red stuff on it. A lot bigger framed reels, and they compacted them down. Then they've over the years decided that's still not small enough, which if you guys remember right, I was saying that years ago. And I've owned all those over the years except the Tatulas, not necessarily the Zillions. So then I guess it just made sense that when they feel they have a good platform to work with, they transferred it to the Tatula now, because guys are still talking about how they came out I guess the Tatula 100, which was another cheap reel. Then they turned that same frame into the Elites and the SVs and all that. But it's a slightly, or not slightly, it's definitely a bigger palming reel than these, and it really didn't help. It didn't palm any better than the older CT. It palmed smaller, but it actually was almost more cumbersome holding. The old CTs palmed big, but man, they had a secure fill. And that's why I think the Zillion, I don't think they're there yet. I think they may leave the Zillion alone, but I think just a smaller version of the Zillion would actually beat these reels and anything they've had to date. So I don't think they're there yet 100%. And if you guys remember right, I'm trying to talk myself into these reels. That's kind of what this little video, you're going to follow along the journey, and we're going to see if I can talk myself into these reels. So hang on one second. I forgot one thing I wanted to have within my reach. And this is, I haven't even cleaned this rod up, but I have not even checked myself on whether these will match up good or not. So I'm going to try to show you guys, as I find out also, how far off these reds are. I knew they would be off. If you can see, this is a darker, deeper maroonish red, and this is a lighter. And it possibly could have been faded out over the years. This rod has some age on it. But here is what I need to see before I'm going to go further. But say, even if I didn't want to go any further, how will I like this rod and reel combo? And I balance this rod. This is a big sexy, and I can tell you right now, it feels very good. It looks, Let me try to get it in a different angle here for you guys. The colors are off, but they're not off far enough. What's funny is that salamander type deal color is almost, so that actually helps it, just makes it go together. The Big Sexy has all almost silver, red and black highlights. It doesn't have gold, so that part is a little off. I know I'm getting real nitpicky, but as far as a rod and reel combo that maybe don't look like they were meant to be together, made for each other, but they go together very well. That will go together just fine and work very well out on the water and how they feel. So if you guys remember right, we got a drag clicker now. I know we're on what was a 7.2 or 3 medium heavy rod. I shortened the butt down to it was crazy long. It's about as long as my carbon lights now. The handle assembly from the trigger all the way to down here, and I've got just a little bit of weight added there, and I may take that off and see. The Big Sexy is just what it says. It's a Big Sexy rod. It weighs a little bit as far as out towards the tip, so I balanced it to where now the balance point is right on this finger, so I can feel it, the rod and reel balancing on that finger. So that will be very good for bottom bouncing stuff. You don't really need it to be that balanced if you're moving baits, say, maybe, but like I just find it, I like my combos balanced. So yeah, I think it's definitely, it looks awesome on there. Can't really get a far enough away shot, but it does look good. That salamander color is a very close. I don't think that's necessarily that flaky. Now this is an old rod low, but it'll go very good. Would it look good on a carbon light? I'm absolutely positive it probably wouldn't. But what I could do, I'm not even gonna try it on there yet. I was gonna say, if some of you want to do lightweight stuff with an SV, I'll probably get it out and see how light it'll throw. I would think you could put this on the 661 or 2 Teton and also, just do kind of all around heavier, if some of you guys are like me, you'll throw heavier stuff on the Teton since it's just that capable, and then you are catching fish on a lighter rod. It would go on there. Now you can get different spools for all of these. They're coming out with more and more, but you can get several for this, and I'm sure at some point you'll be able to get a gold BFS spool for this reel. But just by what I saw in that little thing I done, there's no way as far as I can see to where you could change out the whole guts out of this reel to have this color and this kind of performance that are in these reels. I don't think that option is there. It's out. But we can switch out a lot of different stuff. So let's do that now. Let's go for it. What do you guys think? You want to go for it or no? You guys getting scared off? We're only a half hour into a 5-hour video. Well, no, don't go anywhere. We're not going to go that long. We're going to get a drink of Diet Coke. And let's just disassemble this reel. Now, I'm not taking everything off, but I'm going to take off. And I don't have a gold, that is gold. I don't have a red zero adjuster. So let's take that off. If you guys don't know the deal, let me move some stuff around here real quick. I need a new thing for that, but some of your little baggies or even a big bag, you take 10mm wrench, stick it in a baggie, and it helps you keep from, you have to make sure it's on good, but that'll help you keep from scratching up any of your nuts, screws, whatever to hold these handles on. So we're going to pop that off. We're going to leave that right there. So all we're going to do, we're going to take this handle assembly off, put it on that reel, what I just took off there, put on this reel, just to get an idea that we're just playing around right now, right? Middle of winter, we're in some kind of crazy winter storm advisory. I mean, it is cold outside. It is, you go outside with your guns, trying to put on a gun show, and your guns are going to freeze. And I just had a birthday, I'm 51 years old, and I realized that my guns are antiques now. So, yeah. I mean, they were antiques for like the last year, right? Is that what it has to be to qualify to be antiques? So this cap assembly, I don't like these. I don't like those at all. This is probably better than some. It does expose a little bit, but I don't like any of that. I'm going to try to figure out how to get this thing popped off without scratching anything. Because it should have just popped right off, but it didn't want to pop right off. Slick. Alright, so we get that off. That nut I will probably go ahead and use. I don't think I've got any aftermarket gold nuts at the moment, so I'll probably just use it. Or I could, if I don't want, yeah, I'll use it. That baby's tight. Now remember, if you have a other-sided one, you know, lefty loosey, righty tighty, unless you have a left-handed reel, which is all screwed up. I never forget. I've ran cranes over the years, drove trucks and stuff, but you know, you're always around a mechanic. He'll come out working on your crane when I was running cranes. And I watched the mechanic. He was out there, he was struggling. And I just taught Noah lefty loosey, righty tighty. And so I just hollered out my crane window. You know, I started like singing the song, lefty loosey, righty tighty. And you just saw it click in his brain like, I'm going the wrong way, ain't I? So he was, you know, how they got the big wrenches for hydraulic cranes and different stuff. He was struggling. He was tugging, pulling. I just let him do it for a while. That's how I am. But then when I said that, it just clicked in his mind like, oh boy. Okay, so we take that off. Same stuff, right? So I'm positive this star, all of this stuff would all swap out also. But let's go. Which way do we want to go first? Oh man, decisions. Let's just, we'll do it this way. We'll just swap these around. And let's just go this way first. We've got the star right here. We're just going to put it right back on. The color is identical. Like that is the same color. Okay, so we're going to put that, and we're just going to stick with our, I went the wrong way, handle assembly. So I need the little, that's one that came with this star. So we're going to put it right back on there. We're going to put this handle on. Just so you guys know the exact swapping out. Some of you are probably like, why didn't they put that on the Geicabidian? So do we need the red nut retainer just for show? Oh boy. So there you have So actually, that gold thing would be better to just be with the stock one, which is a black plastic, or you can order a red one. They do make red. I don't know how close you get to that color. If SLP makes the whole, Eugene has them, he's trying to sell me, but they make a drag star. I think it even says SLP on it, but that's the same color, because that is a perfect match. That's the exact same color as that. You guys let me know. Does that look better than we just had it with the... And I think, like, if I was going to put those two pieces on, I would definitely not leave that gold. I'd go back with even a silver one would look better, since there's a little bit of silver on this reel. Now, what you could do if you went with the... I don't know, I just, for some reason, I have it in my head, this reel all red looks better than the other one. But we're going to leave that just like that for a second. We're just going to leave it. We're just going to set it off to the side, up and out of the way. Now, let's just see what this bad dude. Let's see what we can do when we got some gold already going on. We'll see how far off this gold is. It actually is not far off that. It's off everything, but that doesn't seem to be the same as these other pieces to me. So sometimes when you have just, you know, different shades of gold, it works also. So we're going to put this on just to, since we got it. I don't have a... Let's just put that on there. So what did we do? You guys tell me. Now my idea, I don't even know where it's at. Where is that at? My idea is to go with the gold, with one of these with the gold caps on it, is what I have planned on the Big Sexy. Since we got a cork handle on the rod, we're going to have a cork knob on the reel. A little more power fishing with it anyway, right? But that actually goes together very well. I like that too. With this reel now, like it would need, I wish that would have made that gold. I don't know why they didn't. I'm pretty sure you can get the newer style screw, which is for the newer Steezes and the Tatulas and stuff. I think is the same. The older Daiwa is a bigger round one, I think, is what they've switched. I think the only difference. It's like $4 or $6 or something on AliExpress. Put a gold one of those there. And this reel would be done with, you'd want to put this red what you call it back on this one. Oh my God. You guys ever just do this? Just swap stuff around and try it and see. Like, I mean, why would that go on? That is like one of the tightest fitting ones. So yeah, that, I mean, it looks awesome to me. I think it looks better with the gold. Now, the only other thing we're going to do, just to see, for those of you that are like, well, what if I just did this or that? Okay, well, let's go there then. But in my mind, this right here, with this on it, is probably what you're going to see me out fishing with, basically. Let's just get another shot of that. Before we take it apart, you just have to picture that. That's on there. Of course, a gold cap on it. And that's what's going on the Big Sexy. Pretty sure. Pretty sure you'd have to talk a lot to me to talk me out of that. That nut is almost like it's just a bigger size than other ones. That fits on, but it fits on like snug. So, before we go, let's go back this way. Let's go not so far. So I'm going to go, and I know where everything goes. Most of it you couldn't interchange if you wanted to, or like the cap nuts. Anyway, let's go back here. We'll just stick to this reel since we're already holding it up and you see what it looks like. I'm going to try, for those of you that like just want to buy a different handle, or you want to track down one of these handles, or they make the SLP one with the basically the knobs, which I don't know if I have one out here within grabbing range. No, of course I don't. You guys know what I'm talking about. But let's just see if you got the Salamandura and you just wanted to switch the handle assembly, or I mean the drag star. You want to keep that because these do look good. I've talked about before. They're more like a satiny finish, almost a metallic satin, maroonish red color. They do go with the reel pretty good. So I could see where somebody'd want to just leave those, put you a nut retainer on that. That actually looks very good too. In my opinion, that is a better than, I think there was too much red with that drag star. I think drag star definitely goes better with the on the Gekabidgen. And you can get the gold in the Gomexus for $15, or this one is $15 to $17. It's a 5-star if you haven't checked out those videos where I compared them. That looks good. Or you can, single lifestyle, get a carbon fiber handle, put these knobs, order these knobs. They do sell something similar to this on AliExpress. I don't think you're going to get the exact look because they're not going to be the exact quality that these factory Daiwa ones are. I have to admit, that does look good. I could put on this carbon fiber one and these will fit right on it. I could put one of these back on stock with the carbon fiber handle to have it pretty close to stock looking. Jakester says, one question, do they have the same spool size? No, they just the spool sizes and the fact of the shafts are totally different. This is 30 millimeter, and that's 28. Like don't hold me to it, but I would think, like, say if you like the idea of a black reel, but you like the idea of gold on your black, I would think you could track down this spool and like this stuff, and then get some gold parts if you want to trick out your Tatulas. But the Tatula's spools will fit this. This will fit the Tatula of the 70 and the 80. But then on the ALPHAS variants, you would the ALPHAS SV, the ALPHAS Air, the Geckobigen, and the Silver Creek. The Air, Geckobigen, Silver Creek, which are BFS, have the spacers in here that let you run these spools. Now, the ALPHAS SV, which is that silver reel, you would have to have either track down spacers or have them made, or factory ones, whatever, put in that in order to run these smaller BFS spools. Is the only way they'd switch. Now, I don't know if they're going to be making or already have out. I haven't really tracked down all the difference, because I'll be honest, that's the spool I wanted. Was one of the main reasons I wanted this reel, was that gold SV spool. I wish it would have had boost. Like, if I keep this reel, the only way I think I would ever change that spool is if there came out the boost spool that would fit into this reel. Otherwise, that's the reel that's going to stick with this, spool that's going to stick with this reel. The Geckobigen, I'm still up in the air. I've tracked down the gold spool that would look good in it, and if I want to put some of the gold, or if I'm going to go all red, they have a red or gold. That's why I have not ordered a spool. I'm thinking about ordering one, but I want to track down exactly which way I want to go with this reel. If I decide to even keep it, I may just throw them all back to stock and sell them off. I haven't decided yet. I won't decide that until I get out. I'll just wait until the season. I just get out and start fishing them. It's one of those things. I'm trying to make myself like them. I already had the Air. Really didn't hate that reel. Had the or the Silver Creek. I did. It was an awesome reel. I had other things, routes I wanted to go, and Charles, he liked it and wanted it, so I made a deal with Charles. You can't go wrong with any of these ALPHAS variants. They're awesome feeling, working reels. The Coastal 80 spool on the Tatula 80. Just change spools. I don't know if I've seen the Coastal 80. Are you talking about, do they make one now that's I've seen the blue Tatula reels. If those are ones you're talking about that are based off the 100 size frame, I don't know if I've seen the smaller 80. Maybe I have, and it's just not popping in my head, but yeah, the Coastal 80, I'm just guessing, but I would assume it's just like the other Tatulas, other than color, basically. So you would have to track down a BFS spool for these variants. If it says it's for an ALPHAS Air, even an ALPHAS SV, Geckobigen, or a Silver Creek, it won't fit in that reel. There's no way to make it work. But I'm sure they will have one that fits on all of these variants. I'm assuming if it's a Coastal blue one, you just want it mainly that one because it's blue, I guess. I don't know. But my pick for just all around bait casting reel would be this. If you want like these variants, like I would pick this over the ALPHAS SV and all the other Tatula variants, just for the fact of looks. But then you also have, it's got a drag clicker already in it. That's 30 to 50 bucks, depending on which way you go, or could be possibly more. And just stock, I think it looks better, but then it doesn't take but a couple parts, and it looks way better. So let's just figure out which way do I think. No, I haven't done this yet. Let's do this. So let's just say if we want to add just a little gold. So we would go with that since we have it and it matches perfectly, and we need this. Let's just put this together. Just because if we want to we want to add, but we want like to add in a touch of gold. So we added some gold just in on the little knob. We wanted to add a little BFS-y type knob. Now right there, I like that look. That looks good too. It's almost more subtle than putting that bigger gold. You could do the same thing. You could basically just order one of these for the, and I don't know how hard it is to source parts, I guess, for the Salamandora, but if you didn't want to go the SLP route and track down the stock, it just says Tournament Drag, Zion Drag Stars, all it says on it. It doesn't say SLP. But it is the same color match. If you just wanted to add that to the Geckobigen to do away with the, it came with just a black one wherever I put it. I think it's in the box. Definitely looks better. And you, if that was just black, or you could order, they do make a red one, but I don't know if it would match this. If you just wanted to change those few things, maybe go with the cork knobs also kind of deal. I'm still up in the air. I am kind of, I guess, biased towards gold. I'm kind of like gold. I ain't gonna lie, I like maroon too. Probably maroon over red. Hence, you guys have seen Rug Burn, and I had an 89 Mustang GT convertible that was maroon. Looked pretty sweet. The only thing is it had a white top. I almost wish it, I think I'd have preferred black top over the white. And white, red. The interior was kind of cool because white and red, and I think it had some black stuff just because that's just what color the stuff was. Was pretty cool too, but anyway, you guys let me know what you think. And I'll be honest, I'm probably not done playing around with configuring, trying, looking up on AliExpress, what stuff, like, do I want to get? Because I think, and I don't know why, I think on the variants coming out of AliExpress of the Dark Wolf Ultra and them, I think I like the 5-star. This kind of, it kind of has a beefier look to it, and I think it just makes those, because I know those reels are like plastic, it just makes them look beefier, and it's a beefier style handle. But I think I actually like the Gomexa style more on these. So I think I think the gold Gomexus would be better on this reel. It's a 6-star, not a 5, and it just looks a little, I don't have a gold one. I have well, I don't have one within reach. Where's my, if you guys have seen this one. But you can get that in gold. Won't have those cutouts like that right there, which sucks. But I think a 6-point gold. You guys feel free to comment too, because I'm still not sure which way to go. I don't really need to buy another gold one if I go this route, but if I want to just go gold everything, I kind of need one more. They're only 15 bucks each. I may order just a couple of the Gomexus golds just to have them, put one on this one, and if I want to go back to one on that one, if I like them. Yeah, I like that looks of the Salamandora. Oh, this thing looks good too. I like those knobs. I'm just not, I don't know, I like on a, when it comes to aluminum handles, I don't like the black aluminum. I like either, if I'm going to go with the black handle, I prefer carbon fiber because I know it's typically a little bit lighter, and it just, I guess in my mind, it just has a fancier, more expensive look to it, even if it's not, because you can get some pretty cheap carbon fiber handles from AliExpress. It's just, I don't know what it is. They are just a, you know, they're going to make it that much lighter, but they just look, I don't know, can't explain it. But that handle assembly is a good one. It's not the, it's a, these, that's a little better. The stock Daiwa, I don't have any at the moment, but the original 85 millimeter aluminum handles were kind of, I don't know, when you looked at them certain ways, they looked almost cheap, in my opinion anyway. That's definitely a better thickness and overall shape in the bend. I think it makes it a little better, but something about the carbon fiber, they tend to be a touch thicker looking anyway. They may be close to the same, but they've got a sharper edge, so it looks thicker. Even though they may not even be beefier at all, they give you that sense, and a little more like higher end deal. Of course, you could write the high star off of there if you wanted to. This one I haven't even messed with. It had the purple. It's off of the, I don't know which one of the purple reels is what that handle assembly is off of. So anyway, let's compare, I guess, sizes. There's the beast right there. These zillions, I'm telling you right now, I would like to see more variants come out that aren't, because as of right now, the zillion, you guys heard me talk about this reel. They've got the HD, which didn't, I don't know what they've said they've beefed up, but in my opinion, isn't any better a reel than this one. It sells for more money. Then they've got the Silver Wolf, which is a black reel, same frame, shallower SV boost spool though. So I guess I thought about getting one of those, but then I could just get that spool basically for $100 off Digitaka, and I like the silver way over that black. I'm just not fond of the Silver Wolf. I hate anything that's named a color then it's not that color, like, right? Like it'd be naming me, I'd name this reel the White Knight, right? It's black. I name this Black Demon. Well, it's red. Like, I don't care how cool the name sounds. If it doesn't match what you named, it just seems ridiculous, right? It's like naming your Rottweiler Tiny and your Chihuahua Zeus. You just, come on, who does that? I guess some of you guys do. So this is my almost unenhanced I just changed the drag star and kind of kept it subtle, not crazy colors. And then here's the only thing that I went, my typical single lifestyle. Other than that, it's pretty much all stock looking. And then I didn't really go, you can't go too crazy. What I thought about doing, it'd be a small fortune to have it done. And I know I'd suck if I tried to do it myself. I just think it would be cool to take this reel, take it completely, disassemble it, and send a frame to, I got a buddy of mine who does the RC paintings for me, or maybe anybody with an airbrush could do it, but get close to the, some sort of metallic, either two things. Either I could go with the light blue, just for any of the blue little accents I would add on it, or I could go the other way, add a couple little purple pieces, but have them paint this, get close to that green that the TD Ito would also be cool. But here's what, and I'm horrible with subscriber names. I'm horrible with names in person. Like I'll see people and I'll recognize them. I may have only seen you once or twice. I'll see you 5 years from now and I'll be like, I know that person. But names I suck at. But there's a subscriber that commented, and I hadn't really thought about it on this reel because it already has something. But according to them, and your name, they don't have like a name, it's like a handle. They commented now in a couple videos in the comment section that the stees, that aluminum pieces, if you remember right, me and Charles talked about getting them and putting on the Calcutta Conquest, because the Calcutta Conquest is just flat. There's nothing here. Like almost every reel has kind of I don't even know what they call that, as far as just where the frame meets the drag star. They don't really usually leave. They put something there, just something to kind of flow into it, right? And the Calcutta Conquest has nothing, which if you add anything, you're just going to add weight. But Rook and Kawa, there's a couple different names on AliExpress, sell these aluminum little pieces to switch out on the stees. You can get red, gold, purple, and some other color. I can't remember now. But they said that those pieces are almost direct fits. Like I could pop this black stuff off and go with red, gold, purple, or whatever on the Zillion. And it just makes it look, more just gives it even a better look. It's not going to help performance one bit. So I thought about just ordering probably gold in to put on this other reel. I know we were talking about the Alphas, but like this reel, it's a little more, and it's not really even more decked out other than that cap is switched out. Is the only difference. But like if I left this, I could go with the, and as far as I know, the only thing I can get for Daiwa that is that rainbow color is the Dragstar from Gomexus. They make handles too, but handles are, that seems like too much. But I'm talking about little other parts or stuff. Abu Garcia has caps and other things you can track down since they had the Aurora reels that first started that kind of crazy look. But I think maybe gold, or actually just get the aluminum, because they're aluminum, just deanodize them, polish them up, and would just extend the silver out would kind of be cool also. But these, I mean, I think they look fine the way they are. They definitely just have, just like this thing, you know, they just say hyperdrive, and there's nothing really fancy about them, but it does break it up a little bit. Because I think if you had that, which is the exact same color of that, like if you had this all red and silver without any gold, that reel then would look funky. It would be too much red. And that's kind of like the, let's just bring every reel I own into the mix. It's kind of like this guy right here. And there's one of the stock Daiwa 80mm handles I cut down, but it's kind of, I just don't like the way it's made as well as that one. See how it had these little different cutouts? And that's probably a longer handle too. But anyway, just like this little Acura reel, it has the similar looks as far as this little thing here. And what's funny is this says drag clicker alarm hyperdrive magnetic brake system. It's kind of weird how this says hyperdrive too right there. Now I don't know what I haven't even looked into it, what they call hyperdrive. Let me show you where it says it. See right there. Hyperdrive. So it's kind of funny how the two reels I kind of like the best as far as the cheap, small, compact, all around, and then they're like very similar in the color, not the overall design, but then how they got the little black end piece that says hyperdrive on it. It's funny. So yeah, I know I'm kind of going a stretch away from this. These are, which I didn't intend for it, but these do, that silver color does kind of go with a lot of different rods. I mean, you can start switching out, playing with these parts and go a lot of different ways. You know, you could add red to these, go right on like a big sexy other different Dolbins if you have different Dolbin rods, or if you do want to go, you know, it's hard to go on a blue NRX Plus with anything other than either silver, white, or something that had blue or gold. So that's just one thing to keep in mind if you're thinking about putting combos together. If you are dead set on certain rod you want or a rod lineup, I would suggest searching around for reels or parts or options for that. Because I know a lot of you guys are, oh, they're just tools and throw on gaudy looking combos together that I'm like, oh my God, what were you thinking? And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just telling you right now, that's not me. I've not put stuff together. I put it together, went out and fished it, and I either changed something around just to make it look better, or I just switch them back around, even though they were probably the perfect rod and reel for the combo. The color match could be off. And I'm the same way as the palmability feel. There's certain rod and reels that just feel awkward together. The performance wise, they work awesome, but they just have an awkward feel when you put them together. It could be where the gap is on the reel seat, you know, how far away the trigger is, where the trigger sets at under the reel, and all that kind of stuff for the way I palm or whatever. Same thing on the casting. I've become used to, I like a reel that has the, if this thumb bar sets too, you know, clutch assembly sets too low, I find myself, I don't like it. I use that reel less and less for certain things, and to where these I like the way the newer these variants, the Zillion, all of the even the Aldebarans and their variants. The Corrado was, I think it was, yeah, the Corrado was good, but the what other reels? The If you remember right, the lingual variants and the linguals, they're a little low. I put that one cork piece on the Joker that Charles probably took it back off. Some people like them low, but some of the aftermarket ones you get wore lower for guys that some guys just like that lower fill on the deal. That's just another kind of personal preference. What you prefer does not affect performance whatsoever, which way ever it is. But I guess I like to have my thumb higher up on the spool, and some guys like it down, like more of a tighter feel, so they like that clutch bar that's smaller, more down. I don't know. So anyway, I got all kinds of reels up there in the way. Let me move some of these out of the way. I'm gonna sit here probably for who knows how long. I'll probably just leave these, and at some point in time, even tomorrow, come back and look and find which way I want to go first of all, and then I'll see if I've got enough parts, or I'd like to figure out how to order some of these parts. I don't even know if I would use it right away, but I would like to figure out a way. If I like both these and I want to keep both these, and I end up with gold drag stars on both these reels, I would love to have one of these on this reel. If I went that way, I would actually like to have gold thumb bar on this one. Not a huge deal because we got that silver there. Not a deal breaker. I got to make myself like this reel first before I go any which way. And I need to see how well the SV in these performs. I've never thrown the SV in this smaller 30mm. I'm sure it'll be fine. If anything, it's going to be as good. It won't be better than the Zillion because of the boost, I don't think, but it should be fine. It should be good. It should perform and work very well. Drag clicker, drag itself should be smooth and work very good. That is one thing, just the Daiwa name, like even the Tatulas, as much as I've talked about them and I kind of hated the first versions of how and they were big and bulky, they perform fine. Some of these the JDMs tend to do that. Some of these you just don't know about when you get them out of AliExpress, and even if it seems to be a good one, good lineup, these Acuras are good reels. I'm not saying you're more likely, the chances are possibly of getting either a lemon or just when you do switch out and you want to try a different reel, it's not 100% when you're going with but for 65, 75 bucks, it's we've taken the chances over the years, if you guys have watched, and we've come across a couple lemons in that time period, like if you guys remember right, the Hunt House, the one that looks like the newer Metaniums, that reel is, I don't know. I do not recommend that reel. Some of you guys may have ordered one and had okay luck with it. I don't know. That I do not recommend the Hunt House reel. That cheap $20 green reel, it's not the greatest reel in the world, but it's hard to beat that reel for just an all-around bait casting reel that has a drag clicker for 20 bucks because it just works. It's not going to throw the lightest BFS stuff. It's not going to give you the most high-performing drag for big monster fish, but for just a reel you could buy for yourself or for a kid or throw together another combo, I mean, it's hard to beat for $20 because it just works. It does its job. It palms big is the only downside I can say about it. Is it just palms kind of big. The line guide thing, I just now that popped in my head. Is the only thing bad I could say about it. There was one other thing on that green reel, if you know the one I'm talking about. The internal line guide thing just popped out, and I glued it back in with a drop of super glue because they don't have any I guess it just either whoever assembled that one just didn't put enough glue. It's basically whatever, they coat this has to be a certain whatever to let the line go through and not wear, and then it's just on the plastic housing that runs it up and down. Well, on that green reel, that's the only reel I've ever seen that the internal part just popped loose from main part, and so it was still on the line. It didn't go anywhere. Just like just start sliding around. So I actually just used it for a little bit longer, took it home, and then just put a drop of glue and glued it back in, and it worked fine after that. And then since then, I took the reel. It's still around. I have no idea what to do with it. No brew tank. I'm not giving it away in a giveaway. It costs too much. It costs 15. Me and Brew Tank traded, if you guys remember. I think it cost him $16 or something, and the Aldebaran 22 I shipped him was like $16 to ship. It's like ridiculous. It's like, how can you get a... And these reels, this was like $63 when I bought two of them. They were on sale, $63 a piece. Like, I couldn't sell this now, like, when you get into too cheap of stuff and the way shipping costs, it's like you would take a loss and say, if I don't know, say I use this, I've used two of them pretty well, almost all three, but the ones set around a lot longer than the others. But for half a season or however long last season, towards the end, once I got them and started using them, if I wanted to go to sell them, like 15 to there's eating up any, you're not gonna, you're already gonna lose money, and you're gonna have to sell it cheaper because guys will be like, I just go to AliExpress and buy one. So anyway, I need to cover anything else. We're over an hour. That's good enough. All right, guys. Hopefully you liked that little informative video. If you have any questions, just go to AliExpress and I think they call these shallow cup wheels or whatever. If you're looking for spools for different reels or drag stars, or just if you got watch the videos about AliExpress that I've put out on how to go and navigate through there. But there's a lot of different parts and upgrade parts, especially for Abu Garcia, especially for the Daiwa Alphas, Zillions, that kind of stuff. But several Shimano JDM different stuff, and a lot of that stuff will interchange. If you, when in doubt, ask me or ask somebody that's been doing it for longer if you doubt if something should fit or not fit. And they're no longer really, I'm not associated with them, but there's several forums popped up and around. But I guess one of the most go-to places for Daiwa anyway, probably Shimano also, Tackle Tour. If you don't know anything about Tackle Tour, it's basically just a place where you can go and they give you the rundown on rods and reels. It's kind of like back in the day before I even got on Facebook. I went to either Bass Boat Central for just general knowledge of fishing kind of stuff, Bass Boat Central, and then Tackle Tour did more of the, reviewing new stuff coming out, and then they have even an enthusiast side. But I still recommend them to just check what's new and going on with fishing stuff. But they have forums, right? And sub forums and stuff like that on both Bass Boat Central and Tackle Tour. So if you want to dive in and really trying to either track down a certain part you need that you just don't know how to get it, it's not on eBay, you can't find it new anywhere. There's usually in those forums of either one of those is a lot of information to be had. Or you can still sometimes get good information from certain Facebook groups. I'm not really on a bunch anymore. BFS Fishing is the main one that I still look at and go to, and I'm on several others, and I've been invited to 50 million, but I don't really go to any of that stuff. I hardly ever deal with Facebook nowadays, and I haven't been on Tackle Tour in years until I went there last week, just looking around just to see, and I saw that it was still there, so I could tell you guys that's a place that there's still guys there. Downside to Tackle Tour, it's almost impossible to post a picture. Like if you're trying to sell something, or if you're trying to show somebody what's wrong with something, post a video or something. That's why Facebook's way better nowadays. But Bass Boat Central is also just for bass knowledge, fishing knowledge, boat knowledge, and reel rods and all that kind of stuff. A lot of different subforums there. If I haven't answered your question, but yeah. If I just got your addiction started and you're trying to figure out, maybe I'm the gateway to real addiction. I don't know. Maybe I am. But anyway, stay tuned for upcoming videos of testing out these two guys versus the world, right? And then these spools, these shallow spools on these reels and stuff like that. soon as we get out of this crazy, I think the high was going to be 8 degrees today. The low's like -3, but the wind chills are all like way minus degrees and whatever. The old rug burn fired right up. Sit out there and idle until it warmed up. Idling like it had a huge cam in it, but it doesn't. But my heated seat worked wonderfully this morning. All right, guys, get out of here. Go bass some bonsai. But whatever you do, make sure you have fun doing it. I'm going to sit and tinker with these a little more. And then so probably not tonight, but tomorrow I'll probably have another live stream showing you what I kind of came up with. And what I think I'm going to stick with anyway. So stay tuned for that.